Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today we're going to be talking about XQC and his ex-girlfriend Adept. Now, I'll be honest, usually I don't really keep up with like influencer relationships and stuff like that. I just typically don't care, but this is a pretty special story in my opinion in comparison to most of the drama you typically hear surrounding like, oh, YouTuber breaks up with other YouTuber or influencer breaks up with other influencer. This one is so much more deep. I mean, not only was it one of the biggest, if not the biggest, like common law marriage split up we've seen, but we're talking about two pretty notable online figures who were basically in the midst of these massive court proceedings that were determining the freedom of people, like XQC more particularly, you know, tens of millions of dollars, all kinds of just insane things, right? And it's been a pretty long going process in reality. A good portion of it already wrapped up months ago, but we finally got an update that I think is absolute justice, vindication, justice served, right, in this entire thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and give like the layman's, I guess, of what led up to all of this, because this has been going on for years. I know a lot of people already kind of know the story, but there's obviously people out there who don't. So obviously XQC is one of the biggest streamers in the world. He was known for playing Overwatch back in the day and Overwatch League and whatnot. He was basically for years dating this female streamer and content creator by the name of Adept. And over time, obviously a lot of drama between the two ended up going pretty public. I mean, it gets to the point where they end up in court against one another. There's divorce proceedings being filed. There's sexual assault allegations. People are trying to, you know, fight for their cars and their money. It's wild, right? So the reason I want to talk about this story though is because it's pretty obvious at this point that Adept was just trying to gold dig off of XQC. And this story, I think, is a very cautious tale for a lot of reasons. I mean, obviously for the one that all it really takes to ruin a lot of these guys who are in successful positions and have money or whatever, have some sort of status, sometimes all it really takes is somebody just making up bullshit or false allegations about them, right? And that's literally what she tried to do. And I also think that this is one of the rare instances where the person who basically perpetuated all this bullshit actually kind of got some karma or some justice for what happened. Now, realistically, the ideal thing would be people would go to jail for making allegations like this that are false, but since this wasn't actually like a criminal court thing, it basically didn't go that way. So, I mean, where do we even want to fucking start? So the two, they lived in a state where there's this thing called common law marriage. Now, obviously, whenever you get married, there's usually like certificates and whatnot. You get the government involved in some way, but there's some states where basically if you're boyfriend and girlfriend for long enough and you eventually just are like, yeah, we're married, and you say that and you kind of like represent yourself as married to people, you can basically be legally married. And so these two broke up, right? They were having problems, and they honestly broke up and got back together a bunch of times, but at one point they broke up, and she is saying that they were married, he's saying they weren't married, she's claiming that he bought her a ring and everything. It's a bunch of he said, she said, but the issue is she ends up trying to just push it as far as it can go. And obviously, you know, XQC throughout all of this is basically on the defense. You know, he's trying to literally defend his life, his reputation from everything that's going on. Now, the reason why she wants to represent it like they were married is because if she could go to court and like prove this common law shit or whatever to the judge, basically she could milk XQC. Obviously in divorce proceedings this happens a lot, right? Where it's pretty famously said, right? Like if you're a guy and your wife leaves, man, she's fucking taken half. Like that's literally what she tried to do. And keep in mind, they were dating for years, so she had like an eligible time frame in a pretty decent chunk of his career to be trying to take money and possessions and shit from him with. And so she is essentially is just trying to gold dig and milk off this guy because they're having problems. So things start going bad or whatever. She feels like she's losing control of the situation. She basically goes for everything he's got. She then ends up filing this restraining order, okay? Claiming that, oh, XQC has me afraid. He's gonna harass me. He's been harassing me. He's been streaming all of our information and posting all this drama. I'm afraid that, you know, if he keeps doing this, his fans are gonna harass me and hurt me, and he's gonna dox me. It's all so bad, right? So throughout all of this, she's trying to paint XQC like he's just this fucking demonic monster. She's trying to not only milk him for everything that she can get out of him, but she's also trying to destroy his entire reputation to the entire world, basically, right? And I think that that right there is the scariest and most insane part of it all, right? Like, as we're gonna talk about, and as the proof has already come out before months ago, obviously XQC is innocent of basically everything I'm talking about here, right? Like, he was never found guilty, any of that shit, right? But, you know, she puts out this fucking thing. She tries to file more paperwork, which would ban XQC from using his cars like his Tesla and his nice fucking like $300,000 McLaren. He wouldn't be allowed to gamble his own money, which, you know, I know a lot of people don't agree with gambling or whatever, but personally, it's my belief that a grown adult should be allowed to decide what they do with their own money, right? Well, obviously she disagreed because that would be more money that she could fucking, you know, hound off of him through this bullshit. She tried to, you know, ban him from buying clothes and whatnot that they deemed not to be appropriate or whatever, just like basically trying to cripple what he can do with his money and with his life. And it's insane, by the way, right? Because, you know, there's people out there who actually do like fucking insane, horrible things to their girlfriends and their other people, right? But he didn't really do any of this, you know, like all this shit that's being brought up is just fabrication so she could milk him for what he's worth. And it's insane that it was being done like right in broad view, right? Literally right in fucking plain day. This is all happening publicly. There's arguments getting live streamed and shit. She's breaking into rooms while he's screaming and freaking the fuck out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just an insane situation. She literally was trying to like strong arm rob this guy basically in front of the fucking fans and in front of the judges and shit. I mean, truth be told, how much more crazy can you get, right? To think that that's an acceptable and okay thing to do. Now, she claims in some of these court documents that he was unknowingly to her streaming their arguments, like in the live streams and whatnot. But a lot of these claims that she made are proven false because the chat records show that before she engaged in talking on the stream, she was typing in the chat asking him to like unlock the room door and stuff. So obviously she knew he was streaming, but she's telling the court in the documents, oh no, that's not what, I didn't know. I didn't know he was doing this. He's taking advantage of me. He's abusing me, yada yada, right? So she's literally at this point lying to the fucking courts and making up things in the paperwork, trying to muddy the reputation of this guy, trying to get money from him, trying to drag all this shit out in a, you know, a civil court and whatnot. It's the most diabolical shit that you could really do to somebody. You know what I mean? Like, you actually have to be mentally fucking disturbed to think that this is an acceptable thing to do to somebody, right? Well, then in early 2023, okay, there's basically this situation where they stay at the same house again for a final time. It's like emptied out or whatever. He spends the night with her. He probably claps cheeks. That's kind of like the fucking thought that everyone, I mean, you know, he stayed with her. Yeah, let's be real here. You know what adults do. But the next day, she ends up calling the fucking police and claiming that XQC, the dude that she filed a restraining order against and was staying in the same house with because she feared for her safety so terribly, she claims to the police that he sexually assaulted her. And then, you know, he goes and checks the mailbox and he says he finds paperwork basically blackmailing him, saying, hey, if you pay this massive financial settlement, you know, I won't go to the fucking media or tell people about what happened, about you sexually assaulting me. Obviously a complete fucking fabrication, and that was proven later in court, and obviously he was cleared of wrongdoing. The investigation into the allegations was closed, no wrongdoing was found, you know what I mean? So it comes to a point where she's basically falsified these allegations that he assaulted her. She's falsified that he's like harassed her and done all these terrible things that he didn't do. She's trying to lie about their relationship status so she can milk him dry of everything he has. Oh yeah, and by the way, he has to call the police and fucking file burglary charges and stuff because Adept and her mother were showing up to his house uninvited, getting in the house and looking for shit, trying to take things out of the house. But remember, she was so afraid of this guy harassing her and harming her that she willingly went to his house and brought her mother along to this terrible, horrible guy's house who would sexually assault her and harm her and all these other things, right? But she went right into that house and let herself in and walked in and did all this shit, right? So you see right there, you know what I mean? Obviously, as it's all gone, XQC was eventually found innocent. Toward the end of 2023, he ends up winning significantly in all these legal battles and everything. But it goes to show you, really, Like, that for all the months, maybe years or whatever, that all these court proceedings were going on, all these allegations were being made, XQC had to constantly move houses. He didn't feel safe. His privacy was violated. He's being fucking completely manipulated and harassed by this psychopath, right? While all of this is going down as she's trying to tear his empire to the fucking ground, he's trying to maintain his normal life. And after, the allegations of assault and whatnot come out, apparently he claims that his relationship with his family and everything was fractured. So not only did this psychotic bitch try to take all of his money and his possessions and ruin his life and, accuse him of the most vile crime you can and all these other things, but she openly destroyed and fractured his relationship with his family for a period of time. And there's absolutely no sympathy for him from her or anything. In fact, she tried to constantly play it up like she was doing the right thing, right? Well, obviously, this is one of those situations where just because a guy is successful and somebody feels bitter and resentful, they made shit up and they tried to ruin his life. But thankfully, in this instance, the courts did the right thing. They end up dropping all of the legal proceedings. He wins his court battles. Every time she tries to bring up these new fucking court problems and whatnot, she ends up getting shut down. Well, yesterday, we get the news that now Adept has filed for bankruptcy and is now basically flat fucking broke and has pretty much nothing to her name. And what is the reason why she is broke, spiteful, and has nothing to her name? Because she spent all of this time filing all these frivolous court proceedings and documents, lying to the judge, trying to make this man out to be something that he wasn't so that she could profit. So she, racks up all these bills with lawyers and in all these court fees and everything, right? She just goes out and spends up all of her money trying to run this guy into the ground. Now you're probably thinking, oh, but why Optimus would she do that, right? Why wouldn't she just take what she has and leave? Well, because she thought she was going to make all these millions of dollars, you know what I mean? She thought she was going to get his sports cars and his Teslas and his property and all this other shit. She thought she was going to be able to ruin this guy's reputation. The entire world would see her as the victim. Everybody would just turn a blind eye to what XQC says. Well, obviously, the real world hit pretty fucking quick. And when this went to court and you actually had to prove what you were saying, and it wasn't just, oh, well, do you feel sorry for me now? Obviously, things didn't go her way, and he absolutely smoked her in court. And then now here we are with a bitter and spiteful woman who tried to ruin this guy with horrible allegations, disgusting things, and now she's flat broke, probably wondering, what the fuck am I gonna do? How am I gonna keep myself going or whatever, right? Now, honestly, I feel no fucking sympathy for her, you know what I mean? In fact, in all reality, if she has to spend the last couple dollars out of her bank account paying off financial damages that she caused XQC for all the shit she put him through, I think that's a pretty fitting punishment. Like, if you can't afford a fucking McChicken at McDonald's anymore because you have to pay XQC forever for the shit you tried to do, I feel no problem with that. I see no issue with that. The way that I see it, if you have the gall, the gumption, right, to fucking go in the court system, make up shit, falsify shit, provide no evidence for it in an attempt to drag somebody all the way to the ground and ruin everything that they've worked for, you deserve the wind coming right back at you. You can't piss into the wind. Maybe you shouldn't shit upstream, right? Like, it's just not a good idea. Unfortunately, I feel like a good portion of people in the world have forgotten the idea of personal accountability and consequences. You shouldn't be able to just go around and blindly accuse people of shit and ruin their fucking lives in a malicious manner simply because you're upset with them over something. And the sad reality of it is that women like Adept who do the things that they do, they make it worse for all women, right? Because obviously there's a lot of real situations where, women go through domestic violence with their husbands. They are assaulted by people. They do have horrible things happen to them and they need restraining orders and stuff like that. But, when there's women like this that try to do it simply so they can make some money or ruin somebody's reputation, like it's fucking high school or something, it devalues the severity and the seriousness of all these other people that are actually talking about legitimate issues and having actual problems. And that's what really kind of pisses me off, I guess, the most about stories like this, is while there's people really going through these things, women like Adept will lie and they will manipulate and they will connive in an attempt to make themselves seem like that's what they are. It's really just fucking disgusting. So when I saw the news that she's now bankrupt and she might be having to ask somebody to buy her a fucking value meal through the drive-thru tomorrow because she's spiteful and lied and tried to ruin that man, you know what? It is what it is, okay? So anyway, I just wanted to talk about this. I know a lot of this is kind of old news, but the fact that she's now bankrupt from all of this, I think is the fitting end to this entire story. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel, follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at @subtooptimus. Make sure to check out Shoptimus down below. Thank you to my Watch Optimus subscribers. Your support helps the channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, well, talking about Adept and XQC, and signing out. And that's a wrap on this video, but big shout out to my Optimus Nation supporters. You guys are the real MVPs. For $10 a month, you get access to loads of exclusive videos and archived live streams, my members only Minecraft server where you can possibly appear in gameplay, early access to all new uploads, an invitation to the private Discord, and much more.